go to game number 1 of these semis.
All right, and we are straight into our first bans here. 𝗵𝗸𝗀𝗄's Tulkun getting banned out, as is 𝗂𝗃𝗃crafter's Yowler. I think these are pretty reasonable bans, respectively. You never want to really let that Kinu Yowler through unless you have a distinct way to take it down. And oftentimes, guys, you just can't trust that being available to you as a singular counter to it, especially with all of those toxics that we see on 𝗂𝗃𝗃crafter's team. In the meantime, we actually see a very heavy melee focus out of 𝗵𝗸𝗀𝗄 this lineup. We see the, as you talked about before, the 𝗬𝗵𝗻 his𝗲𝗄 alongside the 𝗧𝗵𝗇𝗺 and the 𝗬𝗃𝗃 there. This could be an interesting little game changer there. I like 𝗧𝗵𝗇𝗺 into a lot of what 𝗂𝗃𝗃crafter has as well. Obviously, you keep it away from the narco hit and the 𝗬𝗃𝗧𝗧, but into all of these fires, into 𝗬𝗵10, into a lot of what else is there, it does seem pretty reasonable.
Yeah, and so reasonable enough to get picked up, so not too shabby. But oh, 𝗂𝗃𝗃crafter with the counter pick. Did hear you right, saying, wait a second, you're picking up 𝗧𝗵𝗇𝗺. We're getting this 𝗧𝗵𝗴 aquatic whirlwind turn 1 already online. And I dare say, I mean, 𝗬𝗃𝗧𝗧 packs such a punch. I'm pretty sure even with some decent special defense investment, 𝗧𝗵𝗇𝗺 can't really take that attack. I've seen a lot of 𝗧𝗵𝗇𝗺 just go 100 all the way to 0. I mean, 𝗵𝗸𝗀𝗄 picked the 𝗧𝗵𝗇𝗺 knowing that 𝗬𝗃𝗧𝗧 could get picked up, so maybe he feels confident living one aquatic whirlwind, but no way he could live a doubled up. So I think he just has to swap out the 𝗧𝗵𝗇𝗺, and it looks like he might have to eat it with one of these toxic Temtems in the back line.
I was about to say, like, while, as you say, obviously the 𝗧𝗵𝗇𝗺 wants nothing to do with this actual current board, with 𝗵𝗸𝗀𝗄 having not just the 𝗬𝗃𝗃, not just the 𝗂𝗁𝗵𝗃, but the 𝗵𝗃 as well, and the 𝗚𝗽s, all of which swap into a aquatic whirlwind. A bunch of those swap into an aquatic whirlwind noxious bomb very comfortably. Means that he's in a very good position to just have this 𝗵𝗃 in the back, have this 𝗧𝗵𝗇𝗺 in the back, where it can take good advantage of better board state later on. In the meantime, though, we see the 𝗬𝗃𝗃 ban as well, further softening things up on 𝗂𝗃𝗃rafter's side, but also the 𝗬𝗃𝗃 ban. Now, we don't know whether, do we actually know whether that was like a camo 𝗬𝗃 or whether that was like the more conventional resistant 𝗬𝗃?
Yeah, I can't recall because we saw a handful of 𝗬𝗃s today, but the more majority 𝗬𝗃s that we see was the chamomile mirroring 𝗬𝗃s. So we'll see if it was. Because was it recruited? No, it got banned. So yeah, we'll have to see maybe in game 2. But let's go ahead and jump into this game number 1 of the semis. As we said, 𝗂𝗃𝗃crafter, 𝗵𝗸𝗀𝗄 going head to head. And this turn 1 will be quite interesting. As we mentioned before, keeping things straightforward. Aquatic whirlwind onto 𝗧𝗵𝗇𝗺 is effective, but 𝗵𝗸𝗀𝗄, knowing that, probably going to swap into one of those toxic Temtems. So does 𝗂𝗃 want to redirect that pressure onto the Ragnit because it is neutral and packs a punch. So let's see. I mean, Ragnit with those E-punch might reciprocate the favor, so 𝗬𝗃𝗃 does come out. Let's see what 𝗂𝗃 did.
It looks like we're playing straight today as the aquatic whirlwind comes in doing just under 11% to the 𝗬𝗃𝗃, and the feather Gatling goes down as well, which definitely slaps into it, but this electro punch is going to smack back as it brings it down to 26.9%, and the taser to boot. That burn, adding that little extra sting. It's definitely one of the most common items that we've seen on Ragnit, just due to the fact that it adds so much to its viability. It means that you completely clear status for positive status on your opponent when you're using it with charged iron filings. It means that you just throw damage out there with your electro punch, as we saw with that, bringing this Valorant down to 20.7%. Definitely not as comfortable checking a lot of these toxics on 𝗵𝗸𝗀𝗄's side, even with that aloe vera being such a good option there.
Yeah, I was just about to touch on that. 15% additional damage on the toxic Temtems on 𝗵𝗸𝗀𝗄's side. So 𝗧𝗵𝗇𝗺 coming back out, expecting the 𝗬𝗃𝗧𝗧 to leave, but oh, it came into a 𝗧𝗵𝗇𝗺's wrath. How much damage is it going to be taking? 100 all the way down to 0. That is a big oof for the side of 𝗵𝗸𝗃.
gamble did not pay off. Trying to read PokeCrafter and getting caught out there. I mean, it's gonna come at the cost of a lot of that 𝗬𝗫𝗺's health. The trade is definitely there, but that is such a rough trade. When we showed that like clear in draft, that 𝗧𝗵𝗆 was such a good win condition into PokeCrafter if he was able to break that lead. Like, he broke that lead, but at what cost? Now, that said, 𝗬𝗫𝗆's still pretty valuable here as well. Obviously, you don't like that 𝗬𝗫𝗆 in the back, but you got a 𝗬𝗫𝗆 for that as well. But I despite that being a serious setback, I think Padauk still got many routes to victory here. I mean, yes, that's always an agonizing thing to see, and that was such an unfortunate swap. PokeCrafter reading that so well, but you know, sometimes you just gotta take your lumps.
Yeah, I actually think that was a better trade for Padauk, actually. It was a beautiful read for Poke. However, taking down the Voldaren had so much toxic pressure on Padauk's side, and it looks like he's just throwing it over to Ragnit just to close it out. But man, with the 𝗬𝗫𝗆 still remaining, with the Machoke still remaining, there's no Temtem that does too much effective damage. I say that, and maybe the OB2 with the Plasma Beams or Digi-Threads have to do the heavy lifting against the Machoke. I just don't see too much effective damage against this 𝗬𝗫𝗆. 𝗬𝗫 can't really dish out the pain against 𝗬𝗫𝗆. It can against the Snake, and OB2 against the Machoke, but what is taking down 𝗬𝗫𝗆? Maybe this is what Padauk has in mind. Maybe 𝗬𝗫𝗆 just wins it here for him.
You're not wrong, actually. The fact that that Voldaren was sacrificed so immediately by PokeCrafter may have been a massive overextension, as it turns out. Like, you know, that could have still happened. Like, regardless of that 𝗬𝗫𝗆's Wrath going off, like, we could have seen that Voldaren swap out there. And like, if we'd seen a Keenu come into that Charged Iron Filings, that may have been a little bit better there. Now, I'm not saying that the OCR would have survived, but we do see the Plasma Beam go down onto Thick Snack there, as it does appear that PokeCrafter is just targeting everything that is not the 𝗬𝗫𝗆, trying to save it till last, trying to deal with the more immediate concerns of the high damage output coming out from this 𝗬𝗫𝗆, which does go down to the sustained pressure from this turn. But it takes a ton of chunks off of that Keenu to boot. So now we do still have the Plasma Beam Beta Burst into this Machoke as well. The Strangle has stopped that from being a 1-2 combo, though, as you may have noticed out of Padauk there, meaning that PokeCrafter doesn't quite have the momentum they want pushing into that other slot.
Yeah, it looks like all those toxic Temtems a little bit too much. I wonder if he just had to prioritize saving that Voldaren down the road. Maybe just getting Keenu in, buffing up the 𝗬𝗫𝗆. I know 𝗬𝗫𝗆 was just kind of thrown away, just sacrificing with the Aquatic Whirlwind. But Voldaren was almost a win condition for PokeCrafter. We'll probably see it in game 2. But here goes the Hypnosis onto the Machoke. But 𝗬𝗫𝗆... Oh, no. 𝗬𝗫𝗆 is strangled. So it looks like a freer turn for PokeCrafter. Now that Machoke doesn't have Wastewaters online, can maybe start focusing on 𝗬𝗫𝗆, because one way or another he has to try to chip it down, because man, it's gonna take a long road ahead of him to get him down. It's at 100 HP, and the 𝗬𝗫𝗆 in the back, as we mentioned, there's not any real damage. So Bush, just to increase the heals on Keenu slightly and to absorb a Toxic Ink. So wait a second, maybe there's a little glimmer of hope for Poke here.
I don't think that it's entirely written off just yet, as he's definitely identifying that his OB10 is the best win condition that he currently has. My concern, however, is that he did not spend this turn getting damage onto the Machoke. Obviously, that came at the advantage of, you know, not waking it up like apropos of nothing, but I feel like getting that Beta Burst off would have been so valuable here. Because the problem is now we're back to that point where you want to get that 1-2 punch off on this Machoke, but I'm not entirely sure that's going to wind up happening here. Do we know whether this Machoke's tireless or parrier? That's going to consider a lot of whether it's got the special bulk to be able to take care of this. It doesn't even matter, as we see the Keenu just sacrifice itself into the OB10, as that is definitely sort of confirmed as the win condition, as it's a double screen sparked monstrosity here. The Wastewater is going to be coming into it. Those poison takes certainly still doing a lot. The Toxic Ink coming into it, but this 𝗬𝗫𝗆 has water techniques. Those are still available to it. Is this really the set of eggs you want your basket? Well, is this the basket You want your eggs going in.
Yeah, and quite literally, since 𝗬𝗶 kind of looks like these eggs here, but man, does 𝗬𝗵𝗶 have an E-Drink? Because there is a way Pokey can get it. Wait a second. Hypno is a one hold, right? Yeah. So Hypno can be coming out this turn, but you know, maybe something like a 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶 into a Plasma Beam might be enough. Is it do at least 13%? We have to find out, because the Tick of Burn could do the remainder. 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶 20 down. Oh, enough to kill it out in one go. So Hypnosis out. And oh, this is a good thing, but no, it looks like the 𝗬𝗽𝗫 will be. Oh no, the chamomile protecting it, of course, and 𝗬𝗫 just overexerted. Wait a second, we were counting out 𝗬𝗫 this entire time, saying he had no way of taking out 𝗬𝗫, but I think this 𝗬𝗶 will be able to do the job, especially with another Sparks Plasma Beam. Wow, impressive, insanely impressive stuff coming out from the side of 𝗬𝗫. Looks like he had a game plan the entire time, not missing a beat, executing it to perfection, and make that +3.
Yeah, at this point, the action economy is so favoring 𝗬𝗫 here, having the Hypno on one side, having the Sparks on the other side. Even though this 𝗬𝗫 is still very favorable into both of these Tems, the Chamomile, I think, is the thing that I really want to focus on here. Imagine how poorly this would have gone for 𝗬𝗫 right now if that Chamomile was not on that fish. That defensive item, which we've seen on aggressive Tems in the past, like we saw Skunch pick it up in late 𝗂𝗑𝗫, but it changes the permeability of that kind of a Tem so much. Not taking the poison tick from wastewater, not taking the poison ticks from Toxic Ink, means this 𝗬𝗽𝗫 is alive and causing havoc for 𝗬𝗫 right now.
Yeah, making matters worse, you got the bush to protect the 𝗬𝗽𝗫 for another Hypnosis just to stall it out and make 𝗬𝗶 go up all the way up to +5 special attack. So yeah, 𝗬𝗽𝗫 doesn't go down, no drill on 𝗬𝗫's 𝗬𝗫, and now alert status has gone away as it's just a single turn. So as we said, Hypno back at it, and 𝗬𝗫 has seen the writings on the wall. Impressive.
Everything in it not working well with Chamomile, but wow, that end game just worked out so well there for 𝗬𝗫 because of the combination of them. So how do we think we're going to swap things up this time? Are we going to see that insta ban on 𝗬𝗏10?
Yeah, it looks like it was taking it from reading your mind right there. 𝗬𝗶 does catch the ban, and 𝗬𝗫 returning some favor on that electric Temtem as well against the Ragnit. But man, you know, you're exactly right. The Chamomile, I didn't get to see what he was working with on the 𝗬𝗽𝗫 from any previous games, so did not expect that whatsoever. I dare say that was pretty much the game-winning, that was a game-winning Chamomile perhaps, because the Hypnosis were very critical to get those sparks going. Because I think 𝗬𝗫, I mean, he has Water Jet, he has Ice Stalactite. That's effective damage onto 𝗬𝗶. So yeah, I think 𝗬𝗫 could have won that end game there. So beautiful stuff for Pokey. But yeah, let's hop over to game number 2, and let's see how 𝗬𝗫 now on the counter pick side wants to get things started. So chooses 𝗬𝗏. So I'm kind of smelling a potential Hedgen or Fire 𝗬𝗽𝗫 pickup just to pressure it down.
I feel like that might be walking right into 𝗬𝗫's trap. He still has the Nagai's available as counter pick. If that's too hard focused into, then that's going to be a nightmare. And that's precisely what we see here, because the Ragnit was banned instead, meaning the bane of all aggro teams, the great inverter, Decidueye or Nagai's, is going to hit this field, and that's going to require a massive reposition or a non-effective Blizzard to really sort of try to push this back. Now, Camo Fire 𝗬𝗽𝗫 is still going to probably make miracles here. I was very impressed with it last game, as I've certainly effusively pointed out. But, like, so many of these Tems are very fast. We've got the counter ban into, like, a number of separate things here. Yes, we can expect the Nidrasil swap, but that's not going to stop this Nagai's from completely destroying the tempo of 𝗬𝗫 in this early game.
Yeah, we know what he was going for. He wanted to get that water synergy, Lava Wave 3 priority onto the 𝗬𝗏s. But you're exactly right. Beautifully said. As with that, the 𝗬𝗏 is going to be flipping the script. And now, I mean, Oceara not too safe. And Nagai's 100% safe. There's not really two set of attacks that take it down. So I will say this is probably a madness buff turn for 𝗬𝗫. And if he's able to get that madness buff, things might start spiraling a little bit out of control against 𝗬𝗫. So we'll see And Pokey tries to get in that Nidosul nice and early to try to pressure it down with those toxic inks. Might be the only way to do so, but with a reactive vial, it might be a little bit tough to do it. So we would just have to wait and see. But I think that Madness buff might be coming out from Purdue nonetheless.
So one other thing I really like about this game for the draft for Purdue here is that he's gotten the Tulkun this time, which means that now he's got an answer to this Nidosul that isn't just trying to whittle it down. Now, obviously, he doesn't have quite the same tools as he does last time. He's not got like the wastewater or anything like that off of the Mashuk, but Tulkun does wreak havoc on a lot of the backline of Pokecrafter here, still being able to absorb a lot of these fire hits. Like I'm seeing that swap in on the Gallus turn 1, and it's like any remaining offensive momentum that Pokecrafter has is looking really grim here. Now we do see Keanu Yaller in the back though, so unless Paduke has the sustain to deal with that, this could still go to Pokecrafter again. We've underestimated him before, and I'm not gonna do that again.
Yeah, not another time. But you're absolutely right. I mean, speaking of the bane of people's existence, Keanu Yaller has been going off for too long now. We're even thinking about potentially banning it in future tournaments, but that's for another time. So we will see. This is game number 2, semifinals. Pokey looking to go all the way to the finals. Is today his day? Is he going to be crowned the champion of qualifier number 5? Or Purdue bringing that 𝗂𝗶𝗶ℴ nice and early, but the Blizzard, because of Hurry War, catches the 𝗂𝗶𝗶ℴ on the entry.
Okay, so once again, Pokecrafter showing that he's not even blinking here. He's just trying to go straight for the jugular, getting the Blizzard off and removing over half of 𝗂𝗶𝗶ℴ's health there. This is another reason why I would have loved to see the Tulkun on that swap in, but, you know, the Snare catching the item on the 𝗬𝗏𝗏 there, that's still pretty valuable. You don't have a double screen now, so this means that a lot of these attacks are going to be smacking into that horse even harder than before. Now, we can expect a swap here for the 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗍's Fury. I like Keanu into, Nidosul into Keanu here feels very strong and very hard to punish unless Paduke effectively reads that, throws the Toxic Ink into the Koi slot where it wants to go anyways, and then, throws a Beta Burst into the appropriate slot.
Yeah, of course, all the speeds are flipped, so you have to go who's slower. You bring in Keanu on that spot. So Keanu buffing up the 𝗬𝗏𝗏. Does it go into the Nidosul? 𝗬𝗏𝗏 does. Okay, so Nidosul not getting the buff, it goes onto 𝗬𝗏𝗏, but that's still decent there. So as you said, expecting that 𝗬𝗏𝗏's Fury, Toxic Ink into the wrong spot, so ended off paying off. Beta Burst doubling up, bringing it down. That Madness buff doing wonders. Just a third remaining, so one more Side Surge will bring Nidosul down, and that will be able to underspeed that Toxic Ink coming out from Nidosul. So yeah, just that free Madness buff really doing wonders for Paduke, and no signs of slowing down. I mean, here it goes. Side Surge doing the remaining of Nidosul's HP. How is he taking care of this 𝗬𝗏𝗏s with the Toxic Temtem now down?
Yeah, with the Nidosul down, his main way of dealing with that, if he can manage to somehow get the reactive vial off 𝗬𝗏𝗏s, which I don't see any way for him to do. Nothing else here has any toxic coverage whatsoever. Then he could try to power through it with the Yaller. He could still just try to do that anyways. I've seen some people attempt to just suplex into 𝗬𝗏𝗏s, trying to take advantage of the Decidueye to try to get a bit more momentum with that. But that's not what we're going to be seeing today. It's instead the 𝗬𝗏𝗏 just comes right back in. The Hurry War trying to just maybe take out this 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗏s.
And yeah, the only thing I see here that's really problematic for Pokey is this Keanu goes down. Unless he gets a Revitalize off, which isn't too likely, the Keanu goes down, which means there's no protector buffs on this Yaller. So Yaller, naturally pretty tanky, but the reason Yaller has found so much success is with that Keanu to his side. If Keanu goes down, there is nothing stopping this 𝗬𝗏𝗏s tearing apart this Yaller limb for limb. So we'll see. I mean, as it stands, I think Paduke, he's a rolling snowball going downhill. No signs of slowing down, but does swap out this 𝗬𝗏𝗏s, saving it for the Yaller down the road.
Yep, it definitely looks like he's trying to conserve that just because he sees the 𝗬𝗵𝗶𝗴's Wrath coming. Doesn't want a little bit of chip on that, and both of these Temps just absorb this so comfortably. Look at the absence of damage from both of these quad resists coming out there. The sacrifice comes down on the 𝗬𝗵𝗃, trying to get a little bit of last-minute value before the Kinu properly goes down. So we do see that the 𝗬𝗵𝗃 is up to +3/+3 in its defenses. It's not going to be going down anytime soon, but with these two heavy walls that are still very effective into it, I'm still at a loss for how PokeCrafter is going to be proceeding.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, he does have Blizzard online. Probably enough to take 𝗬𝗵𝗶𝗴, but without the Sea Aura being online anymore, Blizzard is a one-power technique, so probably has to eat 2 Toxic Inks, and at +3 defense, I don't think that will even be enough to protect that 𝗬𝗵𝗃 from going down. So yeah, things are just going from bad to worse for PokeCrafter. And I think it all started with that Madness buff turn. This is what happens. I believe Knockoutz was banned game 1, was it?
Yes, I believe it was. And this is one of the reasons why we tend to see it banned from aggro teams, is because, like, if you're trying to go for these fast, high tempo leads like Fire Koish 𝗬𝗵𝗃, you don't want to suddenly be caught with your pants down and be stuck like clicking last inside these kinds of moves, inside these kinds of leads, because, well, then you wind up in these situations. This is like the last good thing that PokeCrafter can try to do here. Once again, trying to let the 𝗬𝗵𝗃 just die after getting some good attacks off, getting the Blizzard off as much as possible, so that way you can just come in swinging with both Yowler and Fire Koish. The problem is there's a 𝗬𝗽s in the back, there's a Tolkien in the back, there's a Gallus in the back. All of these things are their own big problems to take down. The Gallus, of course, being a reasonable swap into 𝗬𝗃𝗃 and also just doing a bit too much damage to some things. Still feels like the most peripheral thing here. It's the 𝗬𝗽s Tolkien that just really wigs me out about how PokeCrafter is going to get out of this.
Yeah, you know, Fire Koish decently into the majority. I mean, has at least water cannons for the Tolkien, has at least Quetzalenios for the Gallus. Is, as you said, the Temtem that just appeared on the board. How is Poke dealing with that? So Nurso does go down. And you know, now Naga's Fury, or not Naga's Fury, but wait a second. Savage Suplex, that +1 attack, bringing it down to 20%. So one more of those will bring it down. And obviously the Sea Aura no longer online. So is there a little saving grace for PokeCrafter? Can he try to reverse it back? If he takes down the Knockoutz, that is step 1.
I don't agree with that 𝗬𝗽s swap at all. I feel like you wanted to bring that in on a safe turn and just let your Toxics go down there, because it was very unlikely that both of them were going to be going down in the same turn before you get at least one Toxic Ink off on this board. But as we can see, Paduke's just coming in swinging and is certainly still going to try to get these Wind Bursts off on this Fire Koish, still throw the Beta Burst in on the Yowler, trying to just get that out there. This could even be bait trying to bring in the 𝗬𝗵𝗃 again. But it just struck me as a curious decision when you could have kept the 𝗬𝗽s safe at a higher HP value when it's just going down this turn without getting any move off. This is the problem with hard swapping your Tem if you're not solid about its placement there. That swap-in from 𝗬𝗽s may have in fact been the throwing turn, just due to the fact that damage on 𝗬𝗽s really was unconscionable. Like, 40% on there would have been able to take a single volley from the Koish and then throw damage into the Yowler. But now it's gone.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like with that Knockoutz being Madness buff, you almost treat it like a Scavenger Valash, where you save that Scavenger Valash once the Temtems are nice and low. So use all your other Temtems, whittle away your opponent's Tems, and then bring in that Knockoutz, that Madness buff Knockoutz to close it out to win the play. But now, Knockoutz, as we said, that was step 1. Fire Koish is effective, and Yowler is at +1 attack. Wait a minute. Paduke is such a dominant early game, but over here towards the end game, I believe PokeCrafter getting a slight advantage. Oh, and the Hypnosis from last game will be putting a hamper on that 𝗬𝗵𝗃's Toxic Ink. He has to overexert to do so, but Yowler should get the kill here and does not overexert. So Toucan goes down and Gallus is able to come in. Unfortunately, the Koish did overexert, so I think Paduke's still looking decently well, because Yowler has to overexert to do anything.
honestly think that overexertion seals the game for 𝗏𝗏 here. It's very tight. But I do think, like, my concern here is if the Fire 𝗏𝗏 can magically do enough with the Synergy Master 𝗧𝗏 to do over 22% to this 𝗂𝗏𝗃, then yes, fantastic. The problem is, after this turn, it's out of chamomile, and it's going to be taking those poison ticks, and it still has to actually take down this 𝗂𝗏𝗃, which can just sit this turn. Even if the Hibernate goes off, I think you still try to punish the Hibernate, but I don't know about that is the thing. Like, the other mind game that I have here is you don't just let yourself get 𝗧𝗏𝗺𝗃'd by this, but the Hibernate does go down. The rest is called as the overexertion comes down from the Yowler, still bringing it up to 60% thanks to the Hibernate, but now it is locked into place. This means we could see a hook kick into a Toxic Ink on the 𝗏𝗏 spot, but the problem is I think you just want to throw your damage into the Yowler if you're looking at the 𝗂𝗏𝗃 right now, because you just need to take that out before anything else happens. Like, at this point, you've got the threat that's waiting in the back with the two frees, but then you've got the Quetzalcoatl that's just going to be coming down before anything else, and it outspeeds even the sharp stabs, but the 𝗂𝗏𝗃 lives at 3.6%. I don't believe it.
Yeah, and actually, Corey, why did the 𝗂𝗏𝗃 rest? It could have at least done a little. And wait a second, instead of a Toxic Ink going for a Water Jet, I guess he's going for the Ice Stalactite Freeze. Oh, actually, that's very peculiar. I would imagine a Toxic Ink would have got the kill there. I mean, 𝗏𝗏 overexerted either way.
Okay, I can actually justify the rest there on 𝗂𝗏𝗃. That was one of the things I was reasoning there, which is that if you misread that from 𝗏𝗏𝗏crafter and he 𝗧𝗏𝗺𝗺𝗍s your 𝗂𝗏𝗃, then you've lost an extra attack for nothing.
Okay, I see what you mean. Double gash wouldn't have got much value, and then the comebacker most likely brought you all the way down at +1 attack. So yeah, very reasonable indeed. But man, this is such a close race here to the finish line. But you know, something that I don't understand is the Water Jet as opposed to the Toxic Ink on the 𝗏𝗏.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one, unless it was just like try to really conserve stamina perhaps, except that no, Water Jet's still a higher amount of damage there. I'm curious about the Water Jet click there as well, unless that was, as you say, to try to... The thing is, there's no way... There's not a chance in hell that this 𝗂𝗏𝗃 is outspeeding a 𝗏𝗏𝗃 to freeze it before it moves.
Yeah, and even if the cold tick lasted till the next turn, I mean, it has to rest regardless, so it's virtually frozen currently. And man, look at the HP. I did not think at the start of this game, the way 𝗏𝗏 started things off with that 𝗧𝗏𝗃, that will be ending it off so close. The hook kick almost killing the Yowler, but the Toxic Ink is enough. So I believe, yeah, Fire 𝗏𝗏𝗃 doesn't have enough fuel in the gas tank to take down 𝗂𝗏𝗃 and 𝗂𝗏𝗃 at the same time. So I think 𝗏𝗏 still ends up winning this. Toxic Ink, sharp stabs should be more than enough. Wait a second. Oh, no, 𝗂𝗏𝗃 doesn't go down by itself.
Despite this fraught late game, we still are in a position where the 𝗏𝗏𝗃 is forced to overexert anytime it clicks a move, and 𝗏𝗏𝗃crafter taps out, recognizing that 𝗏𝗏 has undeniably won the second game. We are in a game 3 in our semis, people. Things are keeping very hot indeed. In safely and conserve momentum, but that's come at the cost of his Tem's HP at a lot of occasions there. And we do see, as we go into this next game, the 𝗬𝗏 is left open, and so is the 𝗧𝗏𝗃s. So both Tamers are perhaps less respectful of the things that were really instrumental in both of them winning their respective games.
Yeah, and you know, I never want, because these Tamers are in top 8. They're in the semifinals for a reason. I'm just really thinking about the Toucan. I didn't really see the Toucan do all that much. You have one Toxic Temtem on your side. Fire Tornado hits the Kinu for effective damage. I feel like the 𝗏𝗏𝗃 is one of the better bans, but hey, 𝗏𝗏𝗃crafter has to have a game plan if he chose the Toucan. But that is very interesting. We'll see if it ends up paying off. But now the Wombo combo is online. 𝗧𝗏𝗃s with the 1 prio E-punch. Wow, I mean, what a heck of an opener as the orange side for 𝗏𝗏. How does Pokey deal with that? It's gonna be tough.
Oh man, and 𝗵𝗠𝗃's made that even harder for him, having banned out the 𝗧𝗫𝗀 at the start and then banning the 𝗬𝗶𝗫. It's like, what do you even swap into this now? 𝗬𝗨r is your swap in for E-Punch. That feels horrible into a 𝗃𝗽𝗍. Like your 𝗬𝗎, I guess, eats that as well, but that's not exactly a high tempo play. Like maybe your swap. My problem with this is like you're putting all your eggs in the 𝗬𝗨 basket, which is still going to be taking way too much damage from the E-Punch. And then like, yes, it hits into the 𝗃𝗽𝗍, but it's not exactly going to be taking it down in a turn. Or you bring in the 𝗬𝗃𝗧𝗏. I don't see what 𝗂𝒀Crafter has against both of those threats is the real issue there.
Yeah, maybe potentially the game plan could be just Noxious Bomb, since Volerans will be slower, I would imagine. So Noxious Bomb, you trigger Reactive Vial, nullifying the 𝗃𝗽𝗍, and then a 𝗬𝗀𝗇𝗏, as heavy of an attack as 𝗂𝗀𝗏 can pack, maybe brings it down. I mean, we have to see. If it's a madness buff, I think it will bring it down. So I don't think 𝗵𝗠𝗃 is going to madness buff here. I think he's going to keep things straightforward. But ladies and gents, let's go ahead and get these answers to these questions. It is the final game of our semifinals. 𝗂𝒀Crafter, 𝗵𝗠𝗃, they both want to secure the spot in that finals position. I believe the total prize pool today is 480,000 Pansuns. One of these guys taking the bulk of that deal. So let's see which tamer it could potentially be. It does depend on the other side of the bracket. Well, let's see what 𝗂𝒀 has up his sleeve, because there's no reason he banned the Toucan so aggressively without thinking about the potential repercussions.
As people are pointing out in chat, there's a couple people that have been very good at pointing out the fact that if 𝗂𝒀Crafter conserves both of these Tems and uses them effectively, they're devastating into the back line of 𝗵𝗠𝗃. The question once again is, can he break this much more favorable opener in order to have those options for the back? And the Valorant is immediately, even with the protector buff, taking a bunch of damage, going down even farther than I'd expected here, going down into the 20% range from the combination of the taser, the E-Punch, and the beta burst, as you had predicted there. 𝗵𝗠𝗃 is being respectful of the potential of the double in for the 𝗬𝗀𝗇𝗏 as well. We've seen the reactive vial plays go awry for 𝗃𝗽𝗍 before, as we've seen suplexes take them down in previous tournaments.
Yeah, not too bad. And you're exactly right. That E-Punch, despite having the Keanu protector buff, still doing quite a number on that Volerant. And yeah, I mean, just this combo, this is why we've seen it in the finals for multiple qualifiers now. It's, I won't say unbeatable, but it's very oppressive nonetheless. So, I mean, that was a good swap out into the Keanu, but good read. You know, maybe he had to save the Volerant and just double swap, but he probably didn't have too ideal. But here goes Keanu 𝗬𝗨 combo. Electric Punch 100 down to 76, so a little bit 24%, a little bit more with that with the tick of burn. But the beta burst, man, so much damage as early as turn 2.
This feels like such a reactive game from 𝗂𝒀Crafter in comparison to that first one that we saw out of him. At this point, he is like, even the second game, he was able to reposition the sort of inside the mid game and, like, you know, let one thing go down and then start trying to bring things back from there. In this, the problem is the Ragnet and then the guys like favoring each other so well here. What I feared was coming to pass, and he had to bring in the dang 𝗬𝗨 to try to suplex this 𝗃𝗽𝗍 down, which, granted, that does damage, but it comes at the cost of most likely your entire 𝗬𝗨r, which is a monstrous thing to try to sacrifice in order to bring this back. The 𝗬𝗨r does indeed just go down to the 𝗧𝗍𝗺. The overexertion's there, so you've broken it a bit, but the Electro Punch is still doing a massive amount of damage to the Keanu. Yes, the Keanu has sacrifice. Yes, it's still going to be bringing in some value, getting the Hypno onto the Ragnet, but oh man, such devastation just for trying to break this lead. Yes, there was a bit of conservation there. The Fire Qualifier is still feeling perfectly fine. We still have the Fire Qualifier 𝗬𝗨 in the back. But that's about all we have healthy on 𝗂𝒀Crafter's side in the face of a 𝗃𝗫𝗀, a 𝗃𝗁𝗵𝗻, and a 𝗃𝗁𝗃. The 𝗃𝗁𝗃 still being an amazing swap-in for the Aquatic Whirlwind if it's red, due to the fact that that mirroring is going to be carving HP off of that 𝗬𝗨𝗧. In the meantime, we got two bulky Toxics that are still going to be a headache to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to see. I mean, at least the Volerant at +2 special defense, decently enough, or, you know, +1 defense, +2 special defense, decent enough for that Thick Snake and 𝗃𝗁𝗵𝗻. But actually, I guess this isn't the worst turn for PokeCrafter. It's a free turn. Ragnit is sleeping. Nagai's did just overexert, so it could just be a Revitalize on the Kinu or a Stone Wall. But no, it looks like he wants to get a bit more tempo. Brings in that Lava Wave 𝗂𝗍. And I believe this very next turn, the 𝗧𝗲𝗺 will... Oh, Aquatic Whirlwind just to not let the Nagais be alive for that. Oh, wait a second. Goes into Ragnit, knowing that maybe the E-Punch would have gone first. So it's still a free turn, but damage is damage. And now without the 𝗧𝗲𝗺, 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗺's Wrath might be coming out, and maybe enough to get the double kill partnered with something like the Lava Wave. Oh, is this the potential start of a comeback for Pokey as we saw in that game 1?
There is a comeback, then this is precisely what it needs to be. Now, if I'm Pidoock here, what I need to do is like read where the 𝗬𝗏𝗄𝗡 is coming in, so that way I can put the Gallus on the other spot and eat the entirety of that 𝗬𝗵𝗺s into this. We see the 𝗬𝗏𝗺s land on the Ragnit spot. This is pretty favorable and reasonable there. You're expecting that to be where the lava wave's coming down. It actually stays in for the Nagais as the Nagais just goes down. This makes a lot of sense into that as the Blizzard comes down, anticipating the 𝗬𝗏𝗺s. Man, PokeCrafter is still playing so on his toes inside this game, just not letting Pidoock have those easy swap-ins that he's looking for. Every single time Pidoock has tried to swap something in opportunistically, it has been punished. Like these sharp eyes from PokeCrafter have been getting him so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And having some good reads, because maybe Pidoock was expecting the Wrath, and that's why, or just to be careful of the Lava Wave too. Didn't want to bring in the Ninjaso even if he was reading that Wrath. So yeah, that would have been really worse to eat that 𝗬𝗀 or the Lava Wave with that Ninjaso. So good thing he kept the Nagais, sacrificing since it was low HP. The 𝗧𝗲𝗺 already expired. Now Ragnit comes in, but Aquatic Whirlwind is back online. It did 50% the first time, so it'll surely do 50% the next time. So maybe PokeCrafter doubles into that left-hand spot. What can he swap in? If it's Ninjaso, it has to eat a Lava Wave. If it's Gallus, the same idea. If it's Ragnit, it goes down to the Aquatic. One saving grace, at least he has Toxic Ink for both of these Temtems. But you kind of got to pick your poison here. Who are you going to throw that Toxic Ink into? They're both kind of valuable.
If I'm Pidoock right here, I still think you totally go Gallus here, because that means that you eat the Aquatic Whirlwind, which is likely going first, you Toxic Ink the 𝗂𝗍, and then you just let the chip damage do a bunch of the work for you into Rainbow Dash there. Yes, you still die to the Lava Wave, but I think that's still the Gallus having done half of its job, right? The mirroring doing 40% of the chip means that that damage is going to be so massive back onto this, and that's precisely what we see into this spot. That's the gamble that Pidoock is going for. Let's see if it pays off, if this Aquatic is red or not. The Aquatic does go down into that. That's an overexertion for it too, if I'm not mistaken, and that is 50% of Gallus's HP. That translates to 74% down back on that as well. It does go down to the Lava Wave, but that is I think an overexertion for the horse. Sorry, no, it's actually even stamina for both. These spreads plus.
Wait, did the 𝗬𝗃𝗺 not overexert? I feel like it did. And you know what?
The
𝗬𝗃𝗺 did, right? Or am I feel like I saw something say over. Yeah, I think the 𝗬𝗃𝗺 overexerts, so that just goes down from the remaining Toxic Tick. But yeah, the spread's quite nice. Just two Lava Waves, or I think it was a little bit more than that. No, it was 2 Lava Waves. Yeah, just 2 good Lava Waves coming out, and able to dish out an additional Lava Wave. But that's gonna overexert the 𝗂𝗍 greatly, so we'll see what PokeCrafter wants to do here. Oh man, yeah, a couple great turns in this middle, but this turn right here, rather rough. Overexerted 𝗬𝗃𝗺 that just drops dead due to that Toxic Tick, and the 𝗂𝗍, who is vulnerable to a Toxic Ink Electric Punch. 1-2 takes it all the way down, so you almost have to swap into that Kinu, but Kinu, Volderin, all those Temtems go down as well. So maybe this is where Pidoock's saying enough is enough. This is my game to take. I'm heading to the finals. But let's see. I never want to speak too soon.
This could go either way. Like, as you're saying, if you're PokeCrafter here, you want to kind of reposition a bit. I think the horse is dead. You just accept the fact that the horse is dead. No, he actually swaps it, the madman. brings in the Kinu to take additional damage from other things, potentially expecting the other thing that I'm expecting here, which is for the Ragnet to swap out into a Yggdrasil. But no, the Piezo stays, and that's a massive amount of damage onto the 𝗂𝗀𝗃 that uses a Hypnosis rather than anything else, expecting a low prio Electro Punch, but instead Hypnosis is onto a Tem that already did 3 prio into it as the Toxic Ink goes down as well. Like, rarely a move that's slotted onto what's regularly a very support-oriented Tem. That 3 priority, 120 base damage coming out from the Piezo Electric Blow there.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. As you mentioned, I think PokeCrafter was rating an E-Punch low priority, letting that Hypnosis go first. But no, the P blow enough to take it down. So final 2 Temtems, and Ragnet, once it comes online, is gonna be tearing this Volrun apart. You have no more damage for the Ragnet. I mean, maybe Noxious Bomb Beta Burst can do the job, but I believe that P-Blow comes back online as soon as it wakes up, right? So it might be enough to do 50% one more time. I think Pduke just has one more Temtem to take down, and he will be heading to our finals, everyone.
We do still have one more turn before that goes online, but PokeCrafter doesn't even bother giving us that show, recognizing the fact that a Valorant cannot take down all of those Tems. Well played to Pduke, bringing it back at the final hurdle.